Happy Friday and welcome to Chaotic Vibes Podcast. This is your host, Jen. I am excited to have you guys back this week. I am hoping that this week goes by fast because next week I am going to Rocky Point and I am excited. I need the beach. I need to get my hype back into my system because I feel like I've been a little bit on the low end of the mood spectrum this last few weeks, and I don't know if it's just staying home or, because I'm not used to being home all day long. I've been working for so long that I just don't even know how to be a stay-at-home mom anymore, I guess. I don't know. But I did find that interesting because I'm reading this book. It's called Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. And let me just say, side note, I am obsessed with Colleen Hoover books. Every time I finish a book, I'm like, yep, that was the best one. Yep, that was the best one. And I typically am not like a romantic book girly. I've always been like a thriller type of girl. And so it really surprised me that I like her book so much. This one was a little bit different. I think it even works for young people. I would totally let my daughter read this one. But anyways, the point is, Without Merit, it's called, and it's by Colleen Hoover. And it had a line in it that says, depression does not always show up as being sad and emotional. Sometimes it shows up as being indifferent. And I thought that was like spot on because I have a history of anxiety and depression. So I, have always had it, have always battled it. Usually I keep myself so freaking busy that I don't even have time for it to come back. But I've been feeling it these last 2 weeks. And I feel like every time I get back up, like something knocks me down, which by the way, I have tea to share. And I am so flustered. It was bringing my East LA gangster mode out, and I'm just like, settle down, tiny Jen, like you'll be okay. But yeah, so I just want to throw that out there because I think that a lot of stay-at-home moms might not understand the symptoms of depression and that it's just going to get worse and worse. And so, it's important to really evaluate yourself and make sure that you're taking care of yourself, taking time for you and not just house chores and kids and husband. Like I really, really want to put that out there because I think it's super, super important. And for all you husbands that are listening out there, let your girl get some time for herself. I don't know, do something nice for her, or notice those little signs because it's rough out here, guys. We're roughing it. But let me tell you the tea, okay? Because I am so pissed, and this all happened in like the same day. It happened on Thursday of last week, and. Okay, so I've been applying to these different schools because I was like, why not? Let's give teaching another try. Let's try older kids. Maybe the change in grade level, maybe that'll help me. Everything, I went to interviews and whatnot, and the lady that interviewed me for the math middle school position, she was so excited, and she's like, I want to hire you on the spot. Like, she's like, you're bubbly, you're happy, you're this and that. And all of your references that you gave me were spot on. I just need to contact your old principal, and, because we have to do it. Our HR expects us to do it. There's no way around it. And I'm like, okay. I already knew this was going to be a shit show that moment as soon as she said that. But I trusted, I was like, the owner, the director / owner of the charter school was like, you're rehirable and give it some time, and then you can come back and work for us because she loves the way I teach and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I was so upfront and honest with this principal, and I said, I don't know if, even though I know for a fact that this is personal shit they have against me because there's no way. Anyways, so I ended up not hearing back from her, but I was honest and I told her, I was like, this principal, I don't know what happened. I've been working there for 6 years. Everything was perfect. Even the beginning of this year was perfect. And then somewhere along November or October, it turned into a shit show. Apparently she didn't like me anymore and was finding any excuse just to get me out. Okay. So, anyways, long story short, I didn't hear back from her, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give her a few days because I'm not going to be that, person that's like calling them constantly, harassing them. So then I was like, okay, it's been a while and they haven't called me back. She was so excited about hiring me on the spot, excuse me. And so I emailed her and I was like, I just wanted to touch base, see what's going on. I haven't heard back from you. Did you hire somebody already? Blah, blah, blah. She was like, I am so sorry for not getting back to you. Your references are they're really good. Everybody just tells me about how much you care about the students and blah, blah, blah. Was like going on about how great I was, right? And then she's like, unfortunately, I spoke to one of the principals at your old school and they said you were not rehirable. My heart sank. That hurt on another level because I know I'm rehirable, right? I know I am. I spoke to the director, the superintendent, the whatever the hell her position is, founder. She's whatever. So I am about to like lose my shit because I was like, this is an opportunity missed. So I get the number of the founder, owner / whatever, and I was like, can I call you? Because it was the end of the day. I wasn't about to have her call me after hours because I'm totally against people working over their contracted hours. So I was like, what time can I call you tomorrow? I want to touch base. I have a few questions. And she's like, oh, anytime, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Next day comes and I am livid because after that, right, I sent all those emails, whatever. I was ready to call her the next day. Why my son, he does this every day forever, right? He always stands with like the busser kids, which means that they have older siblings that are coming on the bus. And then as soon as they arrive, he starts walking out to the parking lot because that's where I park, right? Granted, he has a walker waiver, so he can technically just walk off campus. Why this friend of mine at that school was like, why did the principal just go up to Axton and send him back and say that he needs to wait until his siblings come off the bus and that he needs to walk with them? And now I'm just pissed off because that's my baby. He's a nervous wreck, right? He's not one to get in trouble. Usually he's one that's trying to stay out of trouble. So the fact that the principal is coming down and talking to him is probably already setting him off. But also, what the fuck's your problem? He has a walker waiver. He has been doing this forever. All of a sudden, you want to come at him for it? So I immediately, in that moment, called the front office because I was like, maybe let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that maybe it expires or so. I don't know. So I called the front office and I was like, excuse me, I need to know if Axton has a walker waiver on file so that he can just walk off campus to the parking lot. Sure enough, he does. And I'm like, okay, so he can just walk off the campus. He doesn't have to wait for his siblings. Yes. Okay. So what is the problem? I didn't tell her this because, right, it's not her fault. And she's a very nice lady, front office lady. Very nice. I love her. There's two of them. Why did you feel the need to go and stop my child and tell my child these things? Why? Because you're petty. That's why. You're trying to just, that's just how it's going to be. Okay, so now I am pissed off because this is on the same day. So I'm just like, nah, they need to stop. They need to stop even. Don't talk to my children. Don't talk to them. Luckily, this is the last year he's going to be there because if it wasn't, I would have already pulled him out. But it's the end of the year. Towards the end of the year, he still has his friends. We're not going to let these petty people win, right? So luckily, I have a lot of friends there still that look out for him and are always there to comfort him if needed. But that shouldn't have to happen. The next day comes and I call and I have all these plans about telling her all of the things that have happened, all of the things, because as you guys have heard, I know I've told you guys about it, none of it makes sense. Everything is so very unprofessional, just very personal, very petty. I call her, it starts off great. I was just like, hey, I just wanted to make sure, because the last time I heard, you had told me to go ahead and add you to references because I was rehireable. You were gonna give me good references. She's like, oh yeah, of course. That's still on. Everything is fine. And I was like, really? Because I interviewed, they wanted to hire me on the spot, and I lost that opportunity because one of your admin told them that I was not rehireable. So she's like, do you know who they spoke to? Of course, no, I don't. It's one of the two, which they're both at this point on my radar anyway. So I was like, no, I'm not sure who, but that's what they did. She's like, oh, that is so weird. Maybe they meant like they personally would, like, nah, they know what they were doing. They know what they were doing, because being an admin, you should know what rehireable and non-rehireable means and what impact it has when they're calling you to ask you that. So I get that you're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but no, that wasn't it. So I go on, and she's like, I don't really know what's going on. She's like, you are definitely rehireable. I'm going to talk to HR, make sure that next time just give them HR's number, et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, I was like, I'm very frustrated with the situation, because it has just been a personal attack after another personal attack after another personal attack. And she's like, well, the only thing I heard was that you had left the room a mess. And I'm like, thank you for bringing that up, because I actually wanted to tell you about that. I did not leave the room a hot mess, okay? Because the only reason it looked quote unquote a hot mess was because I placed all of the supplies on the table that they quote unquote were attacked or accusing me of stealing. I put everything on the table because sure as hell I'm gonna take my things that I paid for. I've spent a lot of money in this classroom, right? So I started telling her that, and I was like, also they only gave me 2 hours, so I had several teachers there that can vouch for the fact that the classroom was not destroyed. I literally had things on the table because that is what the new teacher expressed he wanted, was that just leave everything that you don't need on the table. Okay, so that's what I did. Also, your admin walked through that room. If she really thought that it was a disaster, why didn't she tell me right then and there? She could have been like, hey, do you mind cleaning up a little bit? Granted, she only gave me 2 hours, right? So what did she want me to do in 2 hours with 6 years worth of things in that classroom? But regardless, she could have said, hey, can you clean this up a little bit? It looks a little messy. I don't know. But she didn't, because it was fine. It was normal. Did somebody help me set up that classroom? No. Did somebody help any of the other teachers set up that classroom? No. I'm sorry, but that is his responsibility to now go in there. That's why he was going there on a Friday, right? To set up his classroom, just like we all do. Okay, so cool. She didn't say anything. All of a sudden, I was like, I also thought that it was super unprofessional that when there was a drunk teacher that showed up to the school, yeah, you heard that right. Drunk teachers showed up to that school, and of course they fired him. Not putting kids, in danger here, but why did the email they sent out expressed such a nice little scenario of like, oh, we're so sorry to lose him, and all this like nice things, and didn't even mention anything, which I get, right? You don't need to pull out dirty laundry, but why then turn around and send an email to the whole campus, including support staff that have nothing to do with anything? In fact, none of the other teachers had anything to do with it. Saying that, oh, somebody who left today, who lost their job and left today, who else are they going to think that they're talking about? Of course it was me. That was not very swift. Everybody knew who they were talking about. It was me. Why they send it whole campus wide saying she left the room a huge mess. Thank goodness to this person. That person didn't even do. Let me not get started on that story, but that's also. So I told her that I was like, that was so unprofessional. Like, what is the need of shouting that out to the whole campus when really it could have just been an email to me and say, hey, I don't appreciate that, right? Or you could have just told me in front of the several other teachers that were there helping me get all my things out. Hey, clean the room up. Yeah, leave it a little bit, whatever. But so then at that point, I don't know if you guys, well, I don't know, all you ladies out there, I don't know if men do this as well. But once I get so worked up and pissed the fuck off and there's nothing I can do, right? Like I just start like crying. I started getting like, it's like pissed off crying. It's different than emotional crying. It's pissed off because obviously I'm here in my house. There's nothing I can do. I'm feeling just out of control as it is, but just not being able to do anything, not even like to stand up for my son in that moment, not being able to stand up for myself. And so I like honestly started bawling. Like I was like, I don't think it's fair that I dedicated 6 years to this job. 6 years, never once had a problem, never once had a disciplinary, nothing. Not a single email of anything bad that I did. Everybody was raving, oh, you're doing so great, blah, blah. 6 years I dedicated with my whole heart. I loved these children like they were my own. 6 years. I went above and beyond and helped other people and went all out when it came. I put on a fucking costume, blow up cow costume to make these kids happy, to make the events what they were. Okay? 6 years. And for them to step all over my name and my reputation because they were upset about God knows what, because I still don't understand what they have against me. That was infuriating, but also infuriating. Jeez, I can't even speak. But also hurtful. And so I told her that. I was like, they have trampled all over my name. They have ruined my reputation. And that's what I get for the 6 years that I gave you guys. 130%. 6 years. And this is how I'm going through this. She's like, oh, well, I'm going to go over there on Monday and, I'm going to see what's going on. Which at this time, I don't really give a fuck what's going on that campus. I did, however, I was like, I do want to give you a little bit of a feedback. I want to give you feedback because I hope you realize you're losing such amazing teachers because of admin. I know for a fact that they've already lost another teacher. She quit, right? And she was an awesome second grade teacher and then Spanish teacher. She couldn't handle it anymore. I know a lot of the other teachers, some of even veteran teachers that are not going to be there next year because they can't handle the pettiness that goes on and, of course, other issues with admin. So it is so sad, I told her. It is so sad that this school that I love so much and that I always said I would never quit and that all of the community loved. I don't know what happened. I don't know what turned, but you are losing some amazing teachers because of it. And it's a fact and it's sad. So, I don't know. So I ended up emailing the other principal as well, the one that was the middle school one, and I was like, I did speak to the founder and, she said this and this and that. I know that this might not make a difference, like it might be too late, you might already have hired somebody, but in all honesty, I just wanted to clear my name. At this point, it's not even about the jobs anymore. It's not even about, because do I truly need a job? No, my husband has already told me I don't, but it really is hurtful when somebody damages your name like that. Especially when you've dedicated basically your whole life I mean, I've neglected my kids at points because I had to go work in the room or do certain things. And so, very hurtful. But yeah, so like I said, that those things happen and it just kind of knocks you down a few pegs. And it's like, I'm trying so hard to get back on this positive mentality that I'm always trying to have. And then things like this happen and it just throws me overboard. And my husband's like, and he's so supportive and I love him for that. It's just like everybody else knows what type of teacher you are. And regardless, they know the truth. And I'm just like, yeah, but that's still my reputation, right? And I'm not upset. I'm not crying at this point because I don't work there. I'm not crying anymore because they don't like me. I don't give a fuck. That campus, whatever goes on in that campus, that's not my problem anymore. But it's just something so frustrating about not being able to defend yourself or not being able, right? Because it's like power. That's all it is. It's like a power trip. Like they have the power to do these things, and so they do. And that's just a lesson learned to everybody on here, is that you're always replaceable. Don't give your job 1,000%, because guess what? You are replaceable. It's sad. At the end of the day, they don't really care about you as a person, right? Because she knew, whoever one of them it was, she knew that when she said unrehirable, that they were not going to get me, right? That's messing with my life now. That's messing with my income. That's messing with my family. It's just hurtful. But that, it goes to show, put your family first, put yourself first, because at the end of the day, everyone's replaceable. We're not going to stay on that topic anymore, but I did want to update you on what was going on because I think that a lot of you have been so invested in, just for the simple fact that it resonates with people because it's unfair. And we all know, and we say this to our children, right? Life is not fair, but I'd like to think that my feelings are valid and that my heart was in the right place. And I feel like I deserve to speak my truth. And so that is my truth. And yeah, so let's move on from there. I did want to ask you guys about this new viral strategy of parenting. It's called the let them theory. And I've been hearing it in other podcasts, and I looked it up, and basically it's a theory that talks about letting other people, including your kids, make their own choices. So when I looked up what this was all about, I know that it talks about acceptance, which means that, you have to understand that you only can control your own reactions and not anybody else. And it's funny that that came up because we were actually talking about this with my daughter who is in middle school. And I think it goes along with just the age that she's at. I think they have such a hard time with accepting this, accepting that they can only control their situation and their emotions and their decisions. They cannot control anybody else's. They cannot make somebody else be their friend. They cannot make somebody else be nice to them. And so I think that they have such a hard time, and I get it, like it's a control thing, especially for certain personalities. But this, I think, is super important because, for example, she was telling me that she was trying to be friends with somebody and that somebody called her a name. And I told her, I was like, we're gonna continue to be kind because that's what you should do. And at the end of the day, we can only control what we do. We cannot control how they react to it. And if that happens, then we need to remove ourselves and find somebody else. And so it's just like a constant everyday thing. Do I think that she may be rude to other kids sometimes? Of course, they're all learning. It's middle school. It's rough. It's tough. So, but still, it's like those little lessons that you try to teach your kids so that they are more self-aware of what's important in their lives. Because I think that at that age, everything is so amplified that it takes those little tiny moments of having those conversations so that they are refocused. Another part of that strategy was teaching boundaries and how your child has to decide what their boundaries are so that they can only control what is within their boundary. So, for example, like I said, if that person is not making the best choices or you don't like the reaction that they have to what the situation is, then the only thing you can do is control yourself and remove yourself. And I think that's such an important skill that nowadays is lacking. And so I think it's important to have that conversation with your child that they need to set their own boundaries. And I think it's going to be helpful also as they go into adolescence and start having boyfriends and girlfriends. And nobody wants their child to be stuck in this volatile relationship. Nobody wants their children to be in a toxic relationship. And so teaching them from when they're young that they have that boundary and they get to decide what that boundary is and what comes in their boundary, I think it's super important for their future relationships, not only when they're going through those girlfriend, boyfriend ages, but also as an adult. Because I've had situations where I've had to remove myself. For example, I just had this conversation with my brother. He was making some very negative comments and I just didn't like it. And in that moment, I was just feeling uncomfortable. Like I've mentioned this before, like there's certain vibes and negativity that just really affect me and I don't like to be around it. And so I've built that boundary and people will tell you, my husband and him were talking at work the other day and he told him, you know how your sister is. She's not that type of person. She doesn't like to have that kind of negativity around her. And so I have built that boundary. People know my boundary and they know that I am not okay with certain types of conversations. We are not going to talk negatively about people and we are not going to have negativity take over our conversation. And I think that that's something that I've built around me just because it does so deeply affect me. And so I have learned to build that boundary. And now, sometimes you are going to have to verbalize that boundary and say, hey, whoa, I don't feel comfortable with that, or I don't want to talk about that, or, I don't like it. And so I did have to text him another day and I'm like, I'm sorry if I made you feel bad. I just, I don't like that. And there's a reason why I cut off certain people in my life is because of those types of, attitudes. And so I don't want that around me. If that's how you talk, that's your choice, but just do me a favor, don't do it around me. And so teaching our children how to do that, I think is super, super important. And that kind of leads to the next part of this strategy is self-focus. And so what that means is just prioritizing one's mental state, one's emotional state, and just understanding that that's important and it's okay to think about that. And it's okay to prioritize your feelings, right? Because, and this doesn't mean, I don't think, I haven't really gone too far into this strategy, but I can't imagine it meaning we're not going to care about what anybody else's feelings are. I don't think that's it. I think more of it is we're going to prioritize, right? What that means is we're still caring about other people's feelings, but I come first. Why? Because we've talked about this before. I cannot be the person that helps other people if I am not okay, if I am damaged, if I am hurt. Right? And so we want to prioritize our emotions and our feelings before being able to help anybody else in need. But I really like this strategy. Gentle parenting, I think, has, like anything else, not all these strategies are black and white. There's always going to be some gray areas that obviously don't apply or may apply. And so it's important to just adapt it to your situation. But overall, I think in that sense, we are doing so much better as a community, as parents at being able to understand our emotions and being able to teach, or at least try to teach, our children about all of these things so that we can have better relationships. Because I think that right now our world is just so screwed up, because when we were being raised by parents that never talked about anything. Nobody ever spoke about anything. And so all of the trauma was just held in and duplicated. By the time they had kids, they were dealing with their own issues. And so I think it's great to see that there's all these strategies and really just studies into what is helping people have better mental health. Because I've said this before, I'm 100% all for it. I think that therapy has really helped me understand myself, and I think that now my goal, and I'm sure all of your goals, is for your children to also live that type of healthy lifestyle. But with that being said, it does become hard to have situations where it's a very thin line. For example, gentle parenting. I get it. We are explaining things and we are giving them natural consequences. But for example, let's say the house is burning down. Gentle parenting, if I tell my daughter, hey, we're going to jump out this window, but mom, I don't want, no, does it look like I have time to explain the reason why? No, this is an emergency situation. You're going to obey or I'm going to throw you out the window. You know what I mean? It's just, there are situations in which gentle parenting just doesn't apply. I've tried gentle parenting. You guys, I'm not even playing. I've tried it. And sometimes it leads to children who just are entitled. I am entitled to an explanation. I am entitled to fight on this situation. And it's please remember that you are a child and I am an adult and I've been there, done that, and I know what's going to happen. Now, like I said, there are situations where the let them theory is going to be on point, especially with teenagers. All right, you want to go out with those friends? Cool. But those consequences are going to be this and this and this. And I think we've talked about that with Gabby when we did the podcast. And she was saying that she had warned her daughter about one of her friends, and it turned out that she totally ditched her for a guy and left her alone and I don't know where. And so, those are the natural consequences. But I don't know, it's something about gentle parenting sometimes just does not hit. For example, I think it is also causing children to not respect authority. I feel like as a teacher, I've seen this, even in the 3rd grade. These kids feel like they are entitled to talk to you however they feel like it. And most of the time, they think it's funny. And it's they have no respect. So yes, I understand. And I think that like anything else, there has to be a balance between gentle parenting and beating the shit out of them. No, I'm just kidding. And also, don't come at me for my opinions, okay? These are my opinions. What works for me might not work for you, but it is what it is. We all know that there are situations where we have to, the lines are blurred and we just kind of have to figure it out as we go. Speaking of figuring things out, this is the latest, okay? This is what I'm trying to figure out. Can someone tell me where this phrase, I'm just joshing, came from? Is that, because I feel like that's something that they would say in the, I don't know, 50s, 60s, I'm just joshing you. When did that become a thing? Because I don't remember ever hearing anybody else say that. But sometimes my daughter will make ridiculous comments, right? Or she'll make smart ass comments to her sister or something, and I'll be like, hey, watch it. And she'll be like, I'm just joshing. What the fuck does that mean? I'm just joshing. And also, oh my God, I'm gonna start on my rant, because if I have to hear I'm coming or I'll do it later, I'm gonna lose my shit, because no, you're not coming, or you're not doing this later. You're doing this shit now. Because why? Because I said so. Like that. See, that's when my patience has gone past the gentle parenting boundary. And now you're pissing me off. So now we're done with the gentle parenting, and we're going back to the old school ways. Let me look. I have not even had to bring out my chancla, but if you hear me, and don't cancel me for this, but if I start cussing, that means you better get your ass up and run and do what I just told you to do, because I'm done. I'm done. And granted, if I am already at this point, it's because I have asked them a couple times. You know, I tried the gentle parenting. Didn't work. We're moving on. Another part of gentle parenting that I can do is when they start asking questions about what I'm telling you to do. Like, for example, clean your room. Why? What do you mean, why? So that it's clean. But they don't understand that. See, you have to talk in the new Gen Z, whatever gen it is, vocabulary. You have to, like, you know, what this is what I said. I literally said this to my daughter the other day, and she's like, "Oh my God, why are you always on us about cleaning our room?" And I'm like, because do you want to be like Ash Trevino and have bed bugs? And that is the only way that she had nothing to say to me after that. And I'm just like, let me just stay on top of TikTok and what's trending, because not only do I need to have it as evidence and proof for my children when I am gentle parenting, apparently, that's the only way they'll understand me, honestly. Oh man, well, we are heading into the weekend, and I am mentally preparing for the weekend. Now that I have 2 kids in sports, I feel like we're running around. But I do have a question, because I don't know if this is just me, or if or even if like, do I have some type of tism, you know, like mental something? I don't know, because there are certain people that really just exhaust me with their presence. And I'm not trying to be rude. Like, it's not against them or anything. It just really does exhaust me. And then there's people that we hang out or that I'm around. Like, for example, when I'm not even going to name names. Never mind. Scratch that. But there are people that if we hang out, it's like very low vibe. Like, it's just comfortable where it's not exhausting. And then there's people that come around that I literally have to mentally prepare for days, and then we hang out and I'm exhausted by the end of it. And it takes me sometimes like a whole day, like the whole next day, to recover from it. Do you guys get that too? I also, not even just from friends, like even from my own family, like, and my own children. Like there's high energy kids and low energy kids. And I actually read that in the book. That's why I was asking, because I'm like, I feel so understood, because for a long time, I'm just like, what's wrong with me? You know, as I get older, I'm starting to realize like something's wrong with me, obviously, but I know that it's just certain people that have, like, they just exhaust me. Do you guys have that? I need to know. You guys have to let me know. I also have another story time, just really quick, because this literally just happened and I'm going to forget. I did post it on my TikTok. If you guys want to see a video, I show like all the details. But I was going to take a test today online. So I told my kids, we need to hurry up and get you to school so that I can come back and get on the computer. So this whole time, my daughter was like freaking out, like she couldn't find her phone. And at some point, I'm just like, screw it, like, let's go. Like, I don't have the fucking time. I'm gonna be late. So she was all pissed off at me. We left. I came back, started doing my test. I think it took like around 2 hours to complete. After that, I had forgotten that I ordered groceries from Fry's. So there I go, running over there. No time to even take a breath because I was running out of time to go pick that up. From there, I went to the bank, you know, did my thing. And then I went to Party City because tomorrow's my son's birthday, or yesterday was my son's birthday, in your case, when you hear this. And it was Party City. I guess they're closing down or something. I don't know. Point is, I got all this stuff. I came back home, put the stuff in the house, and then went back to lock the car. Do you know that her phone, my daughter's phone, was on top of the hood? And mind you, I couldn't see it, right? Because I'm short, so it's a Tahoe. I guess I'm too short to see, or maybe I don't pay attention to my hood. I don't know. I'm looking at the cars, not the hood. How did it survive? How did it survive? Because this teeny tiny little phone, it's one of the older phones of iPhone. It survived the hell out of today. It probably survived better than I can recently, but it was fine. Like, I'm just so shook that not only did it not fall off, but it didn't get stolen. Like, I went into the bank, I went into the store, nobody took it. I couldn't believe it. So thank you to the good karma. I don't know whose, is it my daughter's, is it mine, but thank you because, or maybe, nah, we're not speaking that to existence, but the point is, good karma's coming my way. I know it. Also, I do want to give a little shout out to one of my TikTok friends, Borrego. He goes by Borrego. Go and follow him. I have him on my list. Maybe I'll put him on my status so that you guys can follow. Give him a follow. He is having a baby soon, and he has this baby shower set up for Saturday. Congratulations to Borrego and his wife. I'm so excited. You guys have beautiful, beautiful kids, and can't wait to cyberstalk you to see pictures. Or maybe I don't have to, and you can just upload one on TikTok. Anyway, I am hoping to get my results for this test soon because my anxiety is gonna win the best of me. So I had to take this test because I don't know if it's like after a certain amount of years or whatever, they have requirements updated and stuff like that for my teaching license. And I had to take the U.S. Constitution. The way I literally crammed the hell out of my brain last night to learn all about this, because I am not political at this point. I gave up. I'm just like, we're screwed. I mean, what is little old me to do about any of this? Probably just move to another country. I don't know. But now I have to wait. Oh, there goes the race cars on the side of my house. Now I have to wait until I get those results back so that I can continue on with my teaching license and maybe, just maybe, get a teaching job. That all happened, right? Cramming the hell out of my head. And then this morning, all over TikTok was the news about the Department of Education laying people off and like cutting back and stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, are they even going to hire me? Probably not. But you know what? Knowledge is power, people. Knowledge is power, and we are here for it. So I studied and I took the test anyway. And we shall see what happens. Wish me luck. And also, one more little announcement. My son is actually a writer, and he is going to be publishing his very first book. And it's a chapter book. And I'm so excited. It's kind of like a horror type of book. But I read just a part of it, and I'm excited for him. He wants to be a writer when he grows up, and this is just one way of starting that journey, and I'm so very proud of him. I will be uploading all the information for you to get a copy of his book soon as we get all that down and settled. Help me out. Help him out. Help a young writer out. Let's encourage the youth to become better. Because you know the saying, know better, do better. But anyway, you guys, that is it for today's episode. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Borrego, have a fun time at the baby shower. Don't drink too much, or maybe do, who knows, whatever you feel like doing that day. And congratulations to your wife. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Everybody else, thank you so much for always joining. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Chaotic Vibes Podcast, and that's with the underscore between the words, chaotic underscore vibes with a Z. _podcast on Instagram. And you can also follow me on TikTok, Jen Estrada88. Follow me there. See you guys around. Have a good one. Bye.